Okay, hello folks. I'd like to call this meeting to order and we'll start with the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. The lands we know today as the Township of Centre Wellington have been home to Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We acknowledge that we are on the treaty lands and traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee. With increasing encroachment by non-Indigenous settlers in the Township of Centre Wellington, the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee could not continue their traditional lifestyle and settled in their villages along the Credit River and in the Grand River Valley. These Indigenous nations uphold their treaty rights within our jurisdiction. Today, the Township of Centre Wellington remains home to Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We are grateful to have the opportunity to share and respect Mother Earth and are committed to building constructive and cooperative relationships with Indigenous nations.
Thank you, Councillor Wilton. Addendums and corrections to the agenda.
Sure.
Okay. Disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Okay, seeing none, now we'll move into item number 5, public meeting to consider a zoning amendment. The purpose of this meeting is to present and receive public input regarding a proposed zoning bylaw amendment on the subject land known as 6949 Wellington Road 7 in the former township of Nickel. The purpose of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to change the zoning from A, agricultural, and EP, environmental protection, to A, agricultural exception, and EP, environmental protection. The effect on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is to implement zoning regulations necessary to establish a shop for the repair and maintenance of farm drainage equipment as an agriculture related use. If a person or a public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the Township of Centre Wellington to the Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT, but the person's or public body does not make oral submission at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Centre Wellington before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Centre Wellington before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the OLT unless the opinion of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you wish to be notified of the adoption of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, you must make a written request to the clerk, Township of Centre Wellington, 1 McDonald Square, Elora, Ontario, NOB 1SO. Please advise us, clerk, has we been noticed on this?
Through you, Mayor Waters, notice was mailed to prescribed persons, agencies, and public bodies on or before July the 10th, 2025. A notice was also placed in the Wellington Advertiser on the same date, and I can therefore confirm the requirement for giving notice was completed on July the 10th, 2025.
Thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to introduce, have introductions by our planner. So I'd like to call Deanna Maiden, Senior Development Planner, to introduce the application. Welcome, Deanna.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. Members of council, through you. The subject land is a rural agricultural property located east of Wellington County Road 7, just southeast of Mapleton. It currently contains a single detached dwelling and accessory buildings supporting a livestock operation. The purpose of the amendment is to permit a shop for the repair and maintenance of farm drainage equipment and vehicles as an agricultural related use. The property will otherwise comply with zoning regulations. The preliminary site design, as well as a planning justification report, can be found as an appendix to the staff report. The application will return to council along with a recommendation report from planning staff at a later date. And the applicant and agent are also in attendance this evening to present and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to call Rob Stovall to make a presentation on the application. Welcome, Rob.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff. Thank you. Beautiful day. See, we got some good news today in the township too. So excellent stuff. Good start. So my name is Rob Stovall, company Stovall Associates. I'm here with Junior. I'm Junior in the back there, new married man. Also, Mr. Leslie, the owner of the property, is in attendance, and the members from AWF Contractors. We got Dan Fry and his sons Mike, Matt, and Justin are here, and also the designer of the building, Dwayne Martin, is here. His business is called Apex Building, so I'm sure in the future the township will be seeing some plans, things like that, coming from him. So I mentioned the owner of the property is Ron Leslie. It's 6949 Wellington Road 7. The proposal is AWF Contractors have approached Mr. Leslie to purchase the property, the subject of which they want to establish their farm-related business at the site. The property in question is a little bit bigger than 11 acres, so 4.5 hectares. It's an odd-shaped property. It's triangular in shape, and I was trying to figure out how it got to that shape. And there's an old railroad line apparently that went through the rear of the property, and that's what cut it up. That railroad was constructed near the time of Confederation. The parcel, as a result, is small in size for farm parcels, and it's odd in shape. So there's constraints to farming, but it makes for a really good use, really good site for the proposed use. The parcel's got frontage on County Road 7. It's a year-round maintained road. This is important for AWF. They need to get their machineries on the road during more challenging weather conditions, such as in the spring, half load season, that kind of thing. So their equipment is like a big float truck and, say, an excavator, that kind of thing. The site's got clear access both ways on the county road. The property's about 450 meters from Alma and 4.5 kilometers to Salem. AWF Contractors, they want to establish their ag-related business on the site. They will use the building to store, maintain, repair their equipment. Like I said, there's excavators, tractors, and trucks that they maintain. The building will also include an office, and there's also on-site parking, lots of room for on-site parking, which is important for this kind of business. So a couple important things to note. It's not a commercial shop for repairing other people's equipment. It's for their own use, and it's not a fuel storage business. The on-site fuel would be just for their own trucks and tractors. It's like what lots of other farmers have on the site. So the fuel storage containers are all approved by TSSA, and they'd be double-lined and have containment included within that. The remaining land in the house and outbuildings would be retained, except for one barn, which proposed to be removed. The remaining land, if it's tillable, that's what they propose to continue doing, is till the remaining land. So why is this important? So drainage contractors are important for the local agriculture community. We have heavy soils in a lot of part of Wellington County, and you need to install surface drainage to improve the suitability of the land for cropping. And also they install the subsurface tile drainage, but they'd also repair a surface drain too. They've got their approvals from OMAP, and this is a typical thing that most every farm in the county would have some sort of either random or systematic tile drainage, unless they're on really well-drained soils, which maybe a third of the land in the county would be like that. So AWF, it's a family-owned business. I understand there's 3 generations in the business. You've got 2 of them sitting in the crowd here. I'm sure Mr. Fry, if it's a specific question comes up, he could answer it. I'll try to do the best I can answering these any questions that council or the public might have. We prepared a report. It's our position that the proposal is consistent with the PPS, Provincial Policy Statement, and conforms with the county official plan. These types of uses are what's envisioned in the prime agricultural area because they support agriculture. We recognize that a detailed site plan will have to be submitted. The site plan has to meet the guidelines requirements of the township, subject to the approval of the zoning. That's when the site plan would move forward to the next stage. It'll address matters such as the septic bed, location and size, parking spaces, stormwater management and drainage on the site, exterior lighting of the building, and any landscaping that's deemed necessary. From the circulation, we understand that there were no agency concerns, in particular from the GRCA, but because part of the site has a drain on it. We're going to be well separated from that. We understand from public comments that there was concern about the sale of fuel. Again, that's not going to happen at this site. This is just for private use. And the storage has to meet TSSA requirements. There's guidelines for permitted uses in the prime agricultural area. Our report addresses the 6 requirements in there. Again, we think that it conforms to everything that's set out in the guidelines. We think it's a good use of the land, and we want, the bottom line is that the proposal would support agriculture, and it would help a family business established in the township. So we hope that council would support us. We understand that there's still some more work to be done addressing any public comments, and we're here to try to help address those matters. If there's something that is raised that we don't have an answer to, we will endeavor to get back to Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. At this time, I'd like to invite Heather Smith, 31 Alma Street South, Alma, and to speak to this. Is Heather here? Yes, please come forward here. Thank you, Heather, and welcome.
Thank you. The unique thing about this property, okay, I understand that it's, pretty small for running a farming operation, and that farm-related businesses have a very difficult time finding suitable property. So I understand that people have eyes on this property. But what's unique for me about it is the fact that it's so close to the Mapleton border. So I'm wanting to make sure that there's somebody in Centre Wellington that's looking out for the residents of Alma with respect to any potential hazards or threats that there might be to those of us that live there. Because I thought it was curious that the announcement in the newspaper and on your website didn't have anything about Alma on it, or Mapleton Township. This little slight diagram about Alma. There was no mention, somebody said here today, that letters were sent out. Well, were letters sent out to anybody in Alma? Because I would imagine that there's a requirement for distance from the property, so much people in a certain distance, they would have to be notified. So I'd like to know if there was anybody in Alma that was notified. I was also curious to know whether Mapleton Township was notified before I submitted my letter, because I don't know whether the notices went out on July 10th and my letter was at July 25th, what the timing was. I'd like to know about, potential threats to water quality for private wells in Alma. My assessment a few years ago, which I submitted to the council at the time, was that there was 228 properties in Alma that have wells. Now, I don't know how many people have shared wells, so the number actually could be fewer, but I'm wondering, is there any hazards on this property with respect to the new business that we should be concerned about? And I was also wondering about the Church Street development proposed in Alma. So there's going to be possibly another 18 houses in Alma. And so I'm wondering how that will be on the west side of Elma. I'm wondering how that drainage will further affect, the water courses. There's several between Elma and Center Wellington. There's one right below the Leslie property that's, I assume, is called a floodplain. And I'm wondering how the extra houses in Elma are going to affect, overall drainage in the immediate surrounding area, and how it might affect what the proposed drainage requirements would be down at this new property. Just give me a moment just to double check my notes. The gentleman before me addressed a couple of my concerns already. And about fuel. Okay, so he mentioned about the fuel that's going to be for their private use. I still want to know what kind of fuel is going to be stored there and how much is proposed, because if it's not regular gas and diesel, the regular diesel, I don't mean colored diesel, the regular diesel that people buy for trucks. If it's something other than that, then I can see them wanting a fuel station on their property for a farm-related business. But if it's regular gas and diesel, shouldn't they go to the gas station, which is almost immediately across the street? I think that's all I have to say. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Now, at this time, is there anyone else in our audience there who would like to speak to this application? Yes, please come forward and then state your name and your address, please. Yeah, please come to the lectern, or no one will hear you. Otherwise, it'll just be us. So,
I'm a landowner. My name is Ron Leslie, and I can answer one of her water questions. We had an artesian well. I've been there for 41 years. When they built the subdivision in Elma, my well dropped 16 feet, and it doesn't overflow anymore. So if she knows anything about water, it runs that way towards that flood zone. So there won't be a water issue. And the other thing is, I'm old. The barn's old with me. It's time to make a change. That barn should come down. And as far as the fuel goes, we all have fuel tanks on our farms. It's just farm fuel. Other than that, that's all I got to say. I think it'll do Elma a good justice and make everything look nicer. I'm too old to keep that barn healthy. Okay?
thank you for that. Is there anyone else would like to speak to this application? Okay. Now I'll look to Rob. Is there any questions you may want to answer on, or something you still want to digest a bit, or do you have any opportunity to ask or respond to Heather's questions that way? Yep.
My apologies.
Yep, no worries.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think that would be best if I went back and reviewed my notes and then prepared a response to the matters that were raised, and I would deliver that to township staff. If that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. At this time, opportunity for council to ask any questions. Yes, Councillor McDonald.
Through your Mayor Waters, thank you to all the speakers. That is most helpful. I do have a few questions, just because in the whole overview, it's not adding up a lot for me. The first question is, are you selling the land to the applicant, or are you leasing it? Or how is that part working? That's my first question.
Let's do one question at a time. So, Rob, can you come forward again? And thank you.
Maybe I'll try to stay up here. Yeah. My understanding is it would be a sale, so we have to make sure that matters related to the zoning have to be cleared up before that would happen.
Okay, follow up. So if you're selling the land, why wouldn't the new buyer go through this process, and why you?
Okay,
I
so
don't- not
I'll review it
understanding that.
again. Mr. Leslie owns the parcel. AWF Contracting is the drainage company, and they are the ones that are going through the zoning process on behalf of the owner. That's the way, that's who's paying my bill.
Okay. Any other further yes, Councillor McDonald?
I took a drive up there because I believe this is in my area. The cows were grazing on this parcel of land. So are we removing the cows? I understand he's going to be getting rid of a barn, but, and I believe there might be a family living there. So obviously him. So that's all staying. Are we just going to move the cows to a different parcel of land, or how? Because it is prime agriculture land.
It will not be.
Was going to say I didn't know, so I'm glad that you provided the information.
Okay, any other further comments or questions from council as it relates to this? Okay, thank you, Rob. So at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for, oh, okay, just, yes.
We heard some concerns about water, so that's one for me, and also Mapleton Township. Is this close enough that we should have let Mapleton Township know? Are we working with them? Like, I don't know that piece.
Brett?
We're required to circulate to the Township of Mapleton, and we did.
Okay, is there any further comments or questions? Heather, I see your hand. Are you going to add to this? Yes, a little unusual, but I'll let you come forward on this. Yes. Yep, come in, please, to the lectern, please.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. It's a condition of sale, the zoning application approval. That's my understanding from what Mr. Stovall said, that the land will be sold to the drainage company if the zoning application is approved. Is that everybody else's understanding? Okay.
Okay. I'm looking at council now. Is there any further? Yes, Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. And just one comment that I agree with the applicant that it is really important to keep agricultural services and infrastructure within agricultural areas. It helps farmers get their work done more efficiently and improve their land appropriately. So I think it's an appropriate use of this kind of odd-shaped parcel. So thank you.
Okay, any further comments or questions from council? I see none. So at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for attending and advise that council will be considering the bylaw at a future council meeting, and I declare this meeting closed. So we'll take a moment while if people want to stay on, they can. If I'll give you a moment if you're going to be leaving, then we'll take a 2-minute break here. Okay, welcome back, everyone. At this time, we're doing presentations and announcements, and at this time, we would like to invite Barb Lee up to do an introduction of our artists. So I'll let Barb do it in her inevitable fashion.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Waters and Council. A great day, a beautiful day here to talk about art. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. So if you were to cheat and do like a look at Barry's bio, and if you put it through ChatGPT, it might come out like this. After studying fine art at the University of Guelph, McCarthy developed a passion for watercolor, mastering light and transparency on a grand scale. His early work captured the rural landscape of southwestern Ontario, later expanding to the dramatic coastlines of Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Splitting his practice between watercolor and oil, McCarthy translates his small studies into large, powerful canvases. No kidding, eh? And these are the small ones. It's a balance of beauty with a sense of tension. So, based in Elora, his evocative depictions of farmland, rivers, Atlantic shores reveal both the spirit of the land and the quiet mysticism within ordinary scenes. Here's what else I know about Barry. He has a great sense of humor. He is kind and generous with his praise, and he is supportive of the local arts organizations and artists. He wants to see a thriving art community and seeks ways to show support. And for that, we're grateful. And we're very grateful for the type of work he does and the places you can find it. So I hope you've been able to enjoy the work here in Council. And without further ado, introduce Barry. Richard.
Thank you, Barb. And Barry, a big welcome to you. And
thank you. This is intimidating. I never used one of these when I was teaching. I thought maybe, how much time do I have? Careful. Could be a 1 hour lesson. Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, Council, and the Elora Fergus Arts Council sitting here, and they helped to talk me into having a show here, and I'm grateful for that. Every little bit helps. I had a really bizarre upbringing. I had a wonderful childhood. I grew up in Thunder Bay, but and I roamed the forests and I was a fisherman, and I was near Lake Superior a lot. So I think the premise of what I wanted to say was you are what you paint. So whatever comes into your life, whether it be people, teachers, other artists. I had one amazing teacher who collected antiques, and in Thunder Bay, that was something else because like my mom and everybody else that lived in Thunder Bay, they lived out of a Simpson Sears Eaton's catalog. So all the furniture we had was like mass produced. And then Dave Morris, my English teacher, introduced me to antiques, and I started collecting. So that brought me to a whole gamut of new material that intrigued me, and I started drawing antiques, tin toys, furniture, peeled paint, toys on peeled paint cabinets. Rocking horses. I found I had this love affair with horses, and later on in life, I realized I liked rocking horses and horses because I always wanted to be a cowboy. So I grew up in the 50s watching, Hopalong Cassidy and, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. And it was really odd because I was being interviewed by a local newspaper, and the girl says, "So tell me about the rocking horse." I had this beautiful antique Irish rocking horse that was over 100 years old. And she goes, "Tell me about that." I goes, "Well, it's an antique. So I like textures, and I love painting textures because it's not easy. And it's a challenge, and I play that off a very simple background. So there's the contrast element there." And she goes, "No, I mean, there's got to be something more than that." And I thought, you know what? Wow, I had a revelation. I collected rocking horses because I always wanted to be a cowboy. And it was all this, like I had 3 rocking horses at the end of the game. I had one for each of my kids. And I had a cowboy outfit when I was 5. I had a spring rocking horse that went into a Christmas tree at one time because I rode it into oblivion. And it was just a wonderful, and I'm thinking, there's so much stuff that's subconscious that you don't realize about yourself. So, I mean, being an artist, I think it's a search in your own personality. And some of the things that you gravitate to, it ends up on canvas. So there's always this constant, revelation search of who you are, what you do, what you want to do, and what you want to become. So since the beginning of time, I've always wanted to be an artist. I come from a family of 9 kids, and not including my parents. There was 11 of us at the supper table. And all of us, there's 8 boys and 1 girl, we all did something artistic. And my dad was not that, I don't think, talented, but my mom was. She made quilts and she was amazing. She was a little mini Hitler in the house and wouldn't think twice about swatting at you if you did something wrong. And we grew up with that. So, I mean, I have brothers who are engineers and architects, and I'm the only artist. And I have another brother who can actually draw quite well. So I don't know. I think that's part of that history of you growing up and seeing your brothers doing things and going, I want to be like that. And that's who I became. He studied landscape architecture and ended up designing the interior of the West Edmonton Mall. He was very successful, and I gravitated to him. He was my hero. And still to this day, he's a lovely man. Anyways, I went through university, and I came into university drawing dogs and cats. There is nothing in Thunder Bay. There were no galleries, no other artists that I could use as a mentor and visit. And so it was a really kind of narrow upbringing until I got to university. And I fell in love with art history. Wow, the Dutch painters were blowing me away. I had really good professors. I had a really good educational experience there. I went on to Teachers College, and I got a phone call when I was in Teachers College by Bill Mitchell. I don't know if you remember Bill Mitchell. He used to be quite the citizen around here. He bought several properties, and I ended up moving into his little house over here beside Dave Drimmy's florist. And I lived there for 2 years. And I got a call from him saying, would you like to rent my building? And I went, Jesus, I don't even have a job yet. And I took the gamble, which I don't like doing. I said, yeah, I'll take the building, but I don't know where I'm going to end up. I may end up in New Liskeard or something teaching art. Who knows? So fortunately, I worked on his building and lived there for almost next to nothing. Love to be part of the community. Elora just brought so much to my life. And I fell in love with the gorge. I fell in love with the transients that showed up here. A lot of them were from away, and they didn't stay very long. So you made really close friendships with people. And I just really loved Elora. So that was becoming part of who I was and where I wanted to be. Ended up buying a house in Fergus, but I came back here about, I'd say 15 years ago and bought a house in Elora. And I've made many pilgrimages down into the Elora Gorge, which became part of a very big, really big part of my artwork, doing little watercolors, some plein air painting, but not a lot. I did most of my stuff in the studio. And then they just got bigger and bigger. And then Paul Devel told me I was doing the largest watercolors in Canada. And I thought, wow, that's cool. They were 7-8 feet. And some of them were of the gorge. And, oh, there we go. And that is probably one of my latest large paintings. But yeah, I found them very difficult to do, but they're challenging and people remember them. And that, as an artist, you want to leave the viewer with an image that's long lasting, that's powerful. And, some of the greatest compliments that I've received in my life is, wow, I remember that painting you did 10 years ago. Man, it's still in my head. And I'm going, wow, that's a really nice compliment because that's what I'm after, that staying power. I don't like painting ordinary. I like being off in left field. I like going down the little side road, not the main highway. So that makes you maybe a little bit different than all of the other artists. I remember when I was studying art in university, Robert Bateman was huge, and Glenn Lodes was huge, animal art, bird art. And I thought, man, I don't want to be part of that. I mean, I could draw animals. That wasn't the issue. It's just I didn't want to be, clumped into a wave of thinking. There were enough of them out there doing that. So I was doing dead birds. I was finding birds at the side of the road. My mother-in-law was a bird watcher, and she could whistle like some of the birds. I go, okay, that's interesting. So I start picking up dead birds on the side of the road, driving to Waterloo, where I was teaching. And I ended up with a freezer of about 30 or 40 songbirds. And my wife at the time going, when's this going to end? And what are you going to do with these? I said, I don't know, but I'm just collecting them because I think somewhere they're going to end up in a painting. And she goes, well, you better put an end to it because, you've got songbirds beside the frozen bread. And one day she just had it. She pulled them all out. I had them all wrapped up in plastic, of course, in Ziploc bags and stuff. And then she put them out on a board outside in the backyard. And she goes, here, do something with it. And I went, okay, I guess I got it now. I had a gopher that I found on Highway 400. I was just collecting it, so maybe because the Dutch used to hang animals in their little still lifes, and that's all I was wanting to do. Is I had a pheasant that was roadkill. I had owls. I had a little chicken hawk. I had a cuckoo. The hardest bird to find on the side of the road, I know you don't really want to know, is a blue jay. The blue jay was one of the last birds that went into that freezer. So I ended up hanging these 5 birds off a wall in Fergus, and it ended up, I had it in a show here in Elora. Dave Drimmy bought it. He hung it up in his dining room, right opposite his chair. And to this day, I wish I hadn't sold it because it's one of my favorite, memorable, powerful paintings. And it's just, for me, there was no blood or anything. It was just pieces of candy that were dripping down, right? So I was just trying to emulate the Dutch and the Germans, that's all. So it was part of my art history leaking into my own work. And I ended up, when I was teaching in Waterloo, I just wanted to mention Northfield was that drive I took for 30 years. I pulled so many paintings off of Mennonite country. And that road, even to this day, I drive it and I'm still looking. And some of my best works of art came off that road. And it's local. I love that. And it's Canada. And I'm going to leave you with one thought. I'm a Canadian. Cadmium red. I was Captain Canada when I was skiing, and I wore cadmium red and white all the time. I was just in love with Canada. That, when we got our flag, I was it. That was so much for me. And so now I'm finding Canadian flags. I just painted one in a painting the other day, and I love it. I mean, it's a house in Newfoundland with a flag just right near the house, and that's who I am. Even before all the other hoopla of being Canadian and how lovely we are as people and how we're recognized around the world, I was part of that back in the 60s. So that has not gone away. I was in Africa last November. I'm thinking, oh, geez, maybe this would be my chance to do some animals. No, I came home and it wasn't, I don't own Africa. Africa's not who I am. I painted the Indian Ocean. That was cool, a big, huge painting. But it wasn't Canada. So I love being a Canadian and painting Canadiana. And that's what I want to be recognized for. And I've been like that all of my life. That's who I am, and that's what I gravitate to. So just want to leave you with one thought. I'm on the studio tour. I have been for 35 years. So come visit us. We're a nice group that bring in all kinds of travelers and people from away, and I try to help support that. And the new art building, the Elora Center for the Arts with the new addition. I've got a show going up there in January, so all of my new work from St. Pierre is going to be in there. So, if you got a moment, come on out and see what we're doing. And that's pretty much it. Are there any questions or?
Yeah, I see a few hands here. Councillor Evoy.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Waters. Barry, such a fan. But I have to say, I actually don't always talk to the person who shares with us, thanks to the great group that you're with. But I get to look at that snow picture behind you all day.
Yeah.
Winter is my favorite season. That, to me, I wish we could just commission it for the entire next year. Just looking at that snow, it is so stunning that I first walked in and thought it was a picture. And one of my colleagues said, you know, it's Barry McCarthy when his painting looks like a picture. So I just want to say, with the snow blowing in the breeze there, it is, to me, the most calming thing. And I love having it over your shoulder there. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. That's nice of you to hear or say. It's for sale, so it could be part of your interior if you wish. I'm just throwing that out there.
Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Mayor Waters. So these were up, I believe, the last time I was in the chamber. And I asked the clerk, I said, who is this? And she said, it's Barry McCarthy's. Of course it is. I have to admit, so the beach picture, that's my childhood for sure.
Oh.
And I would love to buy them all, but we're not paid that much. So. But I truly was looking at, I wonder what that would cost, because that is a stunner. They all are stunning and they are so real. And thank you for contributing your time and your love of Elora.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. This is all encompassing, right? I mean, we are who we are, and I'm part of Elora too, as much as you guys. I like that part. I'm not going anywhere. I've been here for a long time. I've been in the area for probably 40, 45 years for many reasons, you know, and part of it is the landscape.
I appreciate you coming.
Thank
this
you.
is a
Thank
real.
you very much. Thanks for having me.
Nice.
Just one, Councillor Adams.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming. I've long enjoyed your art. In my day job, I have the pleasure of working in a local government public office, and we have many of your prints around showcasing Wellington County. And I can tell you it brings me joy and the staff joy all the time. And so many times public are walking through the buildings and just like stopping and taking it in. And it reminds them of, you know, some places, you know, you're looking at the gorge, you know where it is, but other places, but you can feel it like in the area, like you said, whether you're driving down Northfield or other areas in the county. So thank you. Thanks for coming.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. Thank you, Barry. And I've had a young artist living in my house for the past year and a half or so, and that's my daughter's boyfriend. And he had 2 pieces into the Insights show this spring, and he was pretty chuffed to think he had paintings in the same show as you had. So I want to thank you and all the rest of the team for everything you do for mentoring that art in the community, because it was a really big deal for his life.
Well, you know, we've got to all start somewhere, and I had mentors when I was young, and that's really, really important. So anybody who emails me, if they're having troubles with their work, and I do get quite a few, I'm happy to respond, because I didn't have that when I was young, and I'm happy to give that for free. And I do workshops, but thank you. That's lovely. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Yeah, Barry, thank you for giving us a piece of yourself, just like your art today, and giving us a little background of how you got here. And on behalf of council and the community, you're a real gem. You know, you're a Canadian gem. You know, and we're very fortunate to have you in our community, and Canada is very fortunate to have you as an artist who basically sort of provides sort of the sights and sounds of our community. You know, you have a real command of images. You have a real command of light, and that's to me, the light has always impressed me, and understanding how things, and it's that light that actually makes those images pop, and you're a master at that.
Wow, thanks, Sean. Have you read my website, because that's all in there?
No, I haven't. I haven't done that, but I've in my time here, I've always and we've had lots of conversations over the years, but I really truly, when I look forward, when you're working on something, I really look forward to seeing where you're at and doing. Again, I really thank you for coming out, and I appreciate you being you really picked this community to be an artisan, and we're all better for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much.
Peter, normally I wouldn't go from the gallery, but it's just, I would, yes.
I just want to, Barry did a talk about how his process in painting, and I think it's so fascinating. I want to tell you. When he starts with a scene, I guess when he's doing the big paintings, he starts with the brightest colors he can, bright blues and garish pinks and yellows, and then the whole process is toning it down. And when you look at the paintings, am I right?
Yes.
And so when you look at the paintings, you can see these colors kind of, at the brink, being held back but pushing forward. And that's what I think one of the wonderful things. And at any stage, he could take those paintings at any stage, and they would be magnificent paintings. So the whole process is quite fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. Well, that was fabulous. Anyways, thank you again, and you can stay for the rest of the meeting, or you can go and talk out in the parking lot. So, thanks again. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to ask Randy Vang to come up and speak concerning a request. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you. I want to thank you all, by the way, everybody who's reached out and spoken to me or sent an email or whatever. I was supposed to have two other gentlemen with me, the presidents of the Allure Legion and the Fergus Legion. They did not come this evening, but they do want to be involved in the future, so they've delegated me to speak to you. Basically, all I want to do is just read the letter I sent you and just clarify or answer any questions you may have on it. As you all know, I sent you all a package last night with a photo attached on the back. And basically what it is we wanted to propose the town put in specialized sidewalks. There's all kinds of painted sidewalks these days for different causes, different whatever. And one thing I've seen going across Canada is there's these veteran sidewalks, and they have red and white stripes, and they'll have a picture of a silhouette of a soldier or something like that. It's becoming very popular. A lot of towns and cities now actually will put an advertisement out when they put in a second one or something like that. That's the type of thing I've seen. So I'll just read you the letter basically, and then answer any questions that you may have. It just basically started off saying that I'll be doing the presentation, followed by Mr. Graham and Mr. Cubbage. They're the presidents of the two legions. We respectfully request that crosswalks in both Fergus and Allure, which are adjacent to the respective cenotaphs, be repainted by the township to further honor those that have served and continue to serve in our military. We further ask that the township pay for the cost of this painting, whether through grant, budget, whatever. In light of the money spent on tourism, and the reason I made that comment is because I think this is actually something that could act into our tourism, is that we're going to have a lot of people coming to town that are either veterans or serving. And I think it's another way to make our town attractive. We feel that this is a way of showing respect for all veterans and serving members of our armed forces, and we respectfully request, and we feel that this is not only an excellent way to honor those that have served and those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country and our freedom, as well as showing our town's support for our beloved military. This proposal has been a long time in the making. I found the idea on a group discussion on Facebook back in 2024, which had a tremendous amount of support from the public. And just to add on to that, there was one lady on the group who said, I wish somebody would take this up. So I, silly me, put my name and said, oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll get on it because I'm part of the Legion, as is Councillor Envoy. I went to the Fergus Legion Executive Committee, and I put it to the executive, and they had decided to support and endorse this. That's why Mr. Graham, who is the president, was going to be here. When I presented the idea to Mr. Cubbage, the Allure Legion president, he advised me that the Allure Legion had been working on this proposal approximately a year ago, and he had gathered information for the proposal, including the attached design, and he's now seeking updated financials, which is one of the reasons why they didn't want to come tonight, is they don't have them yet. They are hoping to get them as soon as possible, and then we can work with the town from that point. He also has a contractor who provides this painting service, and he's the one who supplied the pictures, the picture on the back there, and he can do the painting in a timely manner at any point. The Fergus Elora Rotary has also heartily endorsed this idea for the sites. And we respectfully ask that you consider our request regarding ensuring these paintings are completed. Now, I know there was some talk about possibly putting it off till next year, that type of thing. So, but it's just something we'd like to get on the record and to get some support. I know there is a fair amount of support out there. So I'm probably going to go on Facebook at some point and have your mailboxes hopefully inundated with lots of people supporting it. I hope. That's it. Thank you. Oh, and thank you for your patience, Madam Clerk. I was kind of up and down tonight because of communications. Sorry, continue on.
Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Mayor Waters, thank you so much for bringing this forward. I am aware the Elora Legion has been working on this for over a year. And so costs aside, there are community grants that I believe open today. And, you know, I'd love to see staff work with you on this and get that application in. I would like to see it actually for this Remembrance Day. And the reason is we never hear from our veterans. They never come to council asking for anything. And it's very important. We have two well-rounded advocating legions here. And it is a place for our veterans to go. And that's very important in every community, in every Canadian Legion across the country. So I definitely would like to see this move forward. Thank you.
Just one comment in regards to Councillor McDonald's comment there. And this is why I believe Randy and Don would be better, the two presidents. The Legions are open to other people as well as veterans. I worked in frontline customs for 33 years and I was able to join, but it's also open to average people as well. So, but I'm not going to speak to that. That was their speech. So I'm just letting you know. Maybe Councillor Evoy can add some to that.
Councillor Evoy.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Waters. Thank you for joining me in the meeting earlier when we met with Randy. Thank you, Randy, for sharing your thoughts. I was hoping to hear a little more details tonight with regards to cost and what that looks like. I understand that you weren't able to align that, but that's okay. We look forward to it. But you say that you want to put in crosswalks or sidewalks?
Crosswalks.
So you do want to put in crosswalks?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you say crosswalks, have you thought about, just for our information, where you'd like to see them?
One of the things that Randy Graham, who's the Fergus president, as you know, he would very much like to see, if you're familiar with the Cenotaph in Fergus, there's a tennis court on one side, Cenotaph on the other, and then across from the Cenotaph also is the gas station. He would ideally like to see it between the tennis courts and the Cenotaph, but as we were discussing tonight, we're not sure if that's provincial highway, in which case we'd have to speak with the MPP of the area, or if it's township, that maybe the township just has the right to paint them, because maybe the township already paints the crosswalks. I don't know. It's called Tower Street, but Randy Graham seems to think it's part of Highway 6, so I don't know. But as far as the Legion, or the Elora Legion, I'm sorry, I can't speak specifically, but Don did mention it's going to be connected to the Cenotaph in some way or another.
So may I follow up, sir? So with regards to the fact that they have been working on it for a year, and you're asking for us to get this done in 2 months, do you know what the delay has been? Actually, he wants it done by this November. So if it's been a year, what has been the holdup so that we can know what we're possibly facing as we're looking ahead to, if you want this accomplished in 8 weeks?
Again, it's probably something we'd have to discuss either with you in the future or with the town staff. I don't know. I just know that I'm actually going to meet Don right after this, so I'll ask him at that point, but I'm not sure. And unfortunately, like I say, with them not being here, it's kind of, they just said I can delegate it, and that was the best I could offer.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any further? Yes, Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. Thank you, Randy, for delegating this evening. My question's more for staff, actually. I'm just curious if we have any kind of a policy on painting crosswalks, because I know there are other groups in the community that may have a similar interest for different purposes and different reasons. So I'm just curious if there is any current policy or if anything's being considered and what the process would be from a logistical structure or process. Sorry. Thank you.
Through Mayor Waters, we currently do not have a policy on painting crosswalks. I do know that we currently have a project underway through the DEI Advisory Committee on recognition of various groups. That could include a calendar of events, illumination policies, flagpole policies, and this type of recognition could also be considered in that. But just a concern over having this done in the next 8 weeks, that would be a very tight timeline.
Okay. Councillor, okay. Councillor McDonald.
Being that through you, Mayor, being that I guess to staff, being that the community grants open today, I believe, I think this would be a good piece and for staff to work with them on that piece. They might need help with that. That's my thoughts on it because they have worked on it for quite some time. And I am also aware of that with the Allure Legion. So I don't know. Veterans, again, we never hear from them.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? I think probably what we'll do is we'll take in obviously the information there. It sounds like there's some additional stuff that is coming, and then maybe there's an opportunity for further dialogue with your group and staff, okay. and maybe the opportunity to bring back something back to council when we get the information. I think for today, I thank you for presenting this and making us aware. So we'll look at that at some start of some type of a process, and then we'll go from there. I don't know if we need a formal. Until we get, I think we need to have a bit of a better package, but maybe what we can do is your group could reach out to staff and then can craft something and then the opportunity to bring it back. Yes, Councillor Wilton.
Sorry, Mayor Waters, I'm just not entirely clear what you're suggesting. Or
we don't have a. There were some other delegates here that we don't have necessarily all the full picture of this. So I don't want to start to make some assumptions when we don't have all the information. There was a costing that they still needs to bring forward. So it'd be nice to get all that information. So I just looked at this as a start of some type of a process, but we're going to need to engage council or need to engage staff on this sort of some back and forth. So
just to be picky a little bit, but at the point of order, I guess, wouldn't we need a motion for council to approve spending staff time on something like this? Because we already have the process happening through the DEI committee on the illumination or the variety, the package, I guess, of ways to recognize important groups, which could include, of course, the veterans. So I'm just curious if we'd be duplicating efforts if we started down another path, or if we should just make sure that DEI committee that's working on that is aware that the veterans would also like to be included in that program.
Yeah, and that's why I think we need to have some additional information from the group, and then maybe even the opportunity to go to that DEI to do a presentation that way. And that might be the best way to receive it. But offline, I'd probably like you to talk to staff in terms of a process on this. So, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I had already spoken to the clerk because the other two gentlemen had said they would be available on the 15th of September, which is the next council meeting, and they will have the numbers at that point. And what we could do in the meantime is speak to staff and bring another presentation on the 15th and say, this is what we've done, this is who we've communicated with in the staff, and it at least gives you something to work with at that point.
Council, what are your thoughts on that?
I like that idea. Because I'm not really like it could just be working with Collins staff. It could be just working with community services staff. I'm really not sure at this point, but I think that's a great starting point. And I appreciate you doing all that work.
No problem.
Yeah.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, through you. Question just in terms of process for delegations. This is something that we think should go to the DEI's attention. Would it make sense to actually move the delegation there first, because we would want that kind of recommendations or awareness before coming to council? Just may eliminate a step there.
Beth?
Through you, it would be totally in line for council to refer this matter to the DEI committee to do that investigative work and to allow them to speak to staff and then bring it an entire package back to council. I think in the interest of time, that might be the most efficient way to get this moving.
Councillor Walton.
I'd like to make that referral then to refer this item to the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Committee for further consideration.
Any further comments or questions from council that way? Yes.
Summary, thank you. And thank you to Randy and Dawn. And I wonder why we haven't discussed this also with the Bellwood Legion, because I'd like to see all, if we're going to do it, we might as well do it for all three legions in our community.
Sorry, which one did you say, Bellwood?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to do Bellwood. I didn't actually connect with Bellwood as yet, but yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea.
So maybe when you do come to DEI, you could have all three represented, because I think it's a great idea.
Do we still come to the September 15th meeting with a package and presentation? Or do you want us to wait?
Through you, I think if members of council are proposing to refer it to the DEI committee, I think we would wait until the DEI committee's had an opportunity to meet and staff has had an opportunity to discuss, and then it would come forward together. Maybe not in time for the 15th. That doesn't seem feasible, but as soon as possible, as soon as the committee's able to, if that is in fact what council proposes.
If there's no objection from council, I'll also speak with the Bellwood Legion at this point, and then maybe reach out to some of the town staff to see if there's anything I can offer to help. If anybody has any concerns with that, please let me know. Yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah. So by doing it this way, in some ways it'll help expedite it. So it already goes to committee and the start to look into it. So I'll read this. That the request of from Randy Vane on behalf of Randy Graham, Fergus Legion, and Don Cupridge, Laura Legion, regarding a request for crosswalk paintings in honor of veterans be referred to the DEI committee. Does that sound where we wanted to be, looking at council? Okay. Do I have a mover for that? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep. And do I have a seconder on that? Councillor Craddock. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's so moved. So you've had a successful meeting tonight there. So
thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Randy. Okay, so we're going to now move down to item 6.3, Mayor's County Council report. Don't have so much as a county report, but maybe just report a little bit on AMO. Some of our colleagues were at AMO with County Council as well. I thought it was a good meeting. We all had our joys of trying to get to Ottawa and back, but had an opportunity to meet with a number of MPPs and express sort of some of the issues that we're being challenged by as we live in this part of the world. As some of you may be aware, well, I was going to say in the audience, but we have no one in the audience, but and sort of our television audience, which might be 5, I don't know, but we received a grant today, and that's been to work towards a secondary plan there. But that effort has come through a lot of dialogue with MPPs. I always get people ask me why we go to AMO and Roma and all that. It really provides us an opportunity to dialogue with the MPPs and tell about our story about Centre Wellington. And today, I think, it speaks highly to the success of those types of discussions that we've had over the years to express sort of the needs of this community, which are many. And receiving a grant of 6.8 today was fabulous, and it helped us work towards our secondary plan. And so our opportunities to meet MPPs and our fellow politicians and councillors at AMO and various things like that are really important, that we continue that dialogue and look forward to the opportunities of maybe even receiving some additional grants. And we had some good meetings this week. Would any of the councillors like to speak to AMO? Yes, Councillor Yvonne.
Thank you, through you, sir. I want to actually take a minute, first of all, to thank my colleagues who were able to attend, and of course to tell the rest of you that we're sorry we missed you. But huge kudos to our staff arranging those delegations and doing all the work that was required. We had 3 delegations. All 3 of them were of great value, and for all of us to be able to attend all 3 of them, because there weren't many of us there, was really appreciated. But I think, to your point, it gave us a chance to be heard, and to have 3 delegations and the amount of work that went into it from our staff. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evoy. Any further comments or questions? Okay. And again, I want to thank staff, and not only staff here, but county staff as well. And maybe Councillor Adams, you could pass that on to county staff, because I know there's a lot of organization that goes on that way. Yes, Councillor Evoy.
I am totally remiss not to mention Dan, our CAO. Oh my gosh, Dan, you did such a great workshop. I see that smile. That's not a smile you share with us often. You did amazing. You guys missed an incredible workshop. I think everybody was walking up to him and saying how lucky we are to have him as our CEO, our CAO. So great work, Dan, and thank you again to you and your team for putting that workshop together. Well done.
And I will add, it was standing room only. So, for asset management, so that speaks very highly. So obviously, but then he's got those zingers in there. So, so people are always waiting for that. No, anyways, again, really like to thank staff, both locally and the county, for doing a good job, and it takes a lot of coordination that way, and these things are very important, and there's an opportunity to tell our story, and that's the most important thing, whether it be OSIM or Roma or Good Roads or whatever it is. When we can get in front of our MPPs, that's really important, and to tell their story of what we're doing here and trying to grow a community. So really appreciate everyone's effort, and continue to do the good work. Okay, so we'll go down now to item 6.4, Councillor Committee updates. Councillor Wilton.
Great. Just a quick update on the Fergus BIA, because it's a busy season in Fergus right now. So lots going on there. They had a meeting, I think, last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago, I guess now. August has been a blur. So the big things coming up, well, a few things coming up, is I think it's the last night of Twilight at Templin, and a huge success again this season. I think Councillor Jefferson deserves kudos for all the work she's put into this program over the years. And the last event Wednesday evening is our very own Luke Rogerson. So nice connection there. I don't know if many people are aware, but the Fergus BIA, or Fergus, has a Ghost Walks. So if you go on the Fergus BIA website, there's a whole calendar of Ghost Walks. So I hope the public kind of checks that out. They're very interesting. And then the big events coming up next are the Antique and Classic Car Show downtown Fergus on Friday, September 5th from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And of course, the Cogs and Clockwork Steampunk Festival on Saturday, September 6th, which should be an exciting day. So lots of fun things coming up in Fergus. And then into the fall, there's their Halloween Hot Street Walk, and then the Christmas Sip and Shop. There is a little bit of frustration that the County of Wellington has put on their Christmas markets on the same 2 evenings as the Fergus Sip and Shop downtown. So that's a little bit unfortunate, and I'm hoping I can talk to someone at the county just to see if maybe next year, it's probably too late for this year, but maybe next year we can avoid that duplication of efforts, because it pulls people away from the downtown when we're specifically trying to encourage people to spend some Christmas shopping dollars downtown Fergus. So a few little frustrations there, but otherwise everything's going great in Fergus with the BIA. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilton. Councillor McDonald.
Well, it has been a busy summer here for sure. One of my committees is Seniors Committee at Victoria Senior Center. They had their Peach Social. It was delightful, and a full house and lots of great music. And I actually want to take a bit of time here to thank the Victoria Senior Center for organizing that. They organize an awful lot of programming for seniors across Centre Wellington. It's not just in Fergus, it is everybody. And So they are continuing to update their constitution, and that's all I had, except for some large events in Elora, but that's it.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Jefferson.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. The actual Elora BIA board met last week and they selected their executive positions, which we'll see later down on our agenda. They also set their dates for their upcoming winter events. They have the Candlelight on October 23rd. Their Starlight dates are in November, so there is no conflict with Fergus. November 21st or 20th and 21st, and the 27th and 28th. So it's running for the 2 weeks there as well. You can go to elora.info for any information there and also any upcoming agendas. They also had quite a discussion in regards to asking Township and Council to consider adding a busking license to be added to the Township's vendor licensing bylaw. So they did do that as a motion. So we should be seeing that come to fruition here at the chambers as well. But I think that was everything. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jefferson. Any other updates from Council? Okay, thank you for that. No delegations? We'll go down to consent items. Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and voted on collectively. However, any member of council may request one or more items be removed from the consent agenda for a separate action. I'll read the recommendation that the Council Township of Centre Wellington approve consent agenda items 8.1 through to 8.7. We'll just move it first and then you can, so do I have a mover for that? Councillor Wilton, seconder on that, Councillor Adams. Any comments or questions? We'll start with Councillor Adams.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. In terms of the operating results report, I noticed that it had mentioned that we're seeing a slowage. Sorry, this is going slow, obviously, right now. A slowdown within the building permit and my building department in terms of issuing the permits. I'm just wondering, does this mean, I know in times when those are high, sometimes we hear about wait times. Does this mean that the wait time now is reduced in terms of the issuance of permits?
We measure against the provincial criteria, which don't change based on the volume. So I can't say that we would track whether, because there's not as many permits, that they're faster. We measure against the legally required approval times. So,
Councillor Wilton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. Just a question be for Pat Newsom. Just curious about the Strathallan Park recent declaration. I understand the whole process, but I'm just curious for the public record, I guess, just where we're at in terms of Strathallan Park and what the next steps are. I know the playground was removed and so it's kind of in a different state than it was a year ago, for example. So just curious if you could just outline for the sake of getting it on record of where the next steps are and the timelines for moving forward with Strathallan Park. Thank you.
Yeah, so the playground, which needed to be removed, has been removed, and the ground has returned to level, safe grass. It is no longer a playground site. And the intent there is to bring in some options. So we've actually engaged a landscape architect to start giving us some high-level concepts for futuristic look at Strathallan. That then in the early of next year, we can start looking, engaging the community in what that transition could look like and come up with a plan for Strathallan Park for the future, bring that to council for approval, and then that would tell us where the playground should be in the next iteration of Strathallan Park. So the hope is to replace that park playground in 2026, go through that engagement process, and then depending on the outcomes of that engagement, it could be something that's already in the Parks and Rec plan, or it could be something new, or we just don't know where that's going to take us for what to do with all of the additional space at Strathallan Park. So that's where we're at. That's as far as I know for now.
Councillor Wilton.
And just curious, how would residents within that neighborhood be notified of the engagement process? Thank you.
Well, we would absolutely use our normal engagement process, but in that case, it would also be really helpful. We've done this in other park, is put a sign up at the park so that those who use it will see it, and those in the local neighborhood will see it as well. But we haven't really flushed out all of that because that study's being done right now at the township, is how to do all of our engagements. So once we have that ideas, well, I'm sure we'll have some great ideas and options for coming back for that.
Any other further comments, questions in terms? Yes, Councillor Adams.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just in terms of the capital project report, I'm just wondering, there was a few project updates within there, and I'm just wondering if we could get just a high overview of not those that are, running in time, but there's some mentioned where some have been paused. So some of the bigger ones that have been coming to council, the Laura Tourism Washroom project, the termite management program, and there was the Bissell Park as well. So I was wondering if we could just very highly, just kind of for the public record, get a status on that.
I can speak to two of those. So with respect to the tourism washrooms, I'd like to just pause on that, and I'd like to bring more information back at the next council meeting. I don't have any information to share tonight on that. But for Bissell Park, we intend to come back very shortly. I shouldn't say that because council meetings are only 2 a month, but we do intend to come back with some options, and we're working with the consultants that we had brought on board. The assumption is there's no money coming from that grant. There was no second round. So now we are looking at what's our next step with the funds that we have, what would it take, and what's our next step. So we intend to come back, and we will bring that back to council and have a fulsome conversation about that once we have a plan. But our staff are starting that process now.
Through you, Mayor Waters, this is in relation to the termite management program. It is open and ongoing. We continue to see uptake through the application process, and staff intend to report back in later Q3 with a kind of a more fulsome update as we get into the slower months where the termite installations may slow a little bit.
Okay. Any other further comments as it relates to this section? So we had a mover and a seconder on that. All those in favor? So moved. Okay. So now we'll move down to consideration of reports. 9.1 Bellwood Hall renovation, Rural Ontario Development Program application. And who's going to speak to this? It looks like Pat.
Okay, no problem. This is just a really brief report. I'm here to present a funding opportunity for the Bellwood Hall renovation project through the Rural Ontario Development Program, the ROD program, and it offers up to $20 million over 2 years to rural communities, and we plan to apply for maximum funding of the $250,000 under the Community Infrastructure Enhancement Stream, which will finance essential upgrades to Bellwood Hall, which include improvements to the washrooms, entrance, and main hall. So council support is required with that application, and it will help to bridge the financial gap that we have right now for this important infrastructure project. Thank you. Recommendations in the report.
Councillor Evoy.
Thank you, through you, sir. Thank you. This is such an important piece, and I know that our members, our neighbors in Bellwood are feeling very excited about it, as are our Lions, of course, there. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pushes forward, and I absolutely am in support of you guys going for that grant.
Councillor McDonald.
You, Mayor Waters, I think we should apply for every grant that we can possibly get our hands on. So whatever it is, a park, a place, an operations center, apply. So thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Okay, I'll read the recommendation that the Council Township of Centre Wellington approves an application to the Rural Ontario Development ROD program for the Bellwood Hall renovation project for the maximum available funding prescribed by the program. Do you have a mover for that? Councillor Evoy. Seconder on that, Councillor McDonald. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's so moved. Now we'll move down to item 9.2, single source award for the development of growth phasing strategy. And I see Adam at the lectern.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Waters. The report before you provides recommendations and seeks council approval for a single source award for the development of a growth phasing strategy and specific review of the township's commercial land needs to Watson and Associates Economists Limited, and a budget top-up of $29,000 for the corporate development charge reserve fund to facilitate the award. Watson has been identified as a preferred vendor for these works based on several criteria, which are detailed in the report. And with that, I'm happy to field any questions the council may have.
Comments, questions, Councillor Welton.
Thank you, Mayor Waters, and thank you, Adam, for the report. I understand the reasoning and the rationale for hiring Watson and doing the sole source. I would just caution that it can get into a bit of a groupthink kind of situation where you have the same supplier for every project, that sometimes a new supplier would bring some fresh perspectives or some different ways of looking at things. So I'm not going to argue with this one in particular, just kind of a cautionary comment that I do think sometimes you can have some more perspectives and different ways of thinking about the same situation. So just moving forward, just kind of keep that in mind. So thank you, though.
Councillor McDonald.
In the past, some of the work that I've done in sole procurement, it got kind of sticky actually with the province, and there had to be more, and there had to be a lot of data behind it, why we were doing that. So I do agree with Councillor Wilton that we do need, I think we should be cautious of this. I understand that they are good, but I'm sure there's somebody out there as well that could do equally as good a job. So that's my only concern. I'm going to just say that.
Any further comments or questions? Okay. I'll read the recommendation that the Council of Township of Centre Wellington approves a single source contract award for the development of growth phasing strategy and specific review of the township commercial and land needs to Watson and Associates Economists Limited, Watson, as outlined in report number core 2025-54, and that the Council of Township Centre Wellington approves an in-year top-up from the corporate DC reserve fund in the amount not to exceed $29,000 to facilitate the award. So do I have a mover for that? Councillor Craddock, do a seconder on that? Councillor Jefferson, any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's so moved. Thank you. We'll move down to 9.3, proposed agreement, communication infrastructure enhancement. And Dan is moving the lectern to speak to this. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. We've been approached by staff from the Grand 101 FM requesting assistance financing a generator to be installed to provide backup services to them being on air. We've had various conversations and are bringing forward proposed conditions to council for approval. We do currently have an in-kind agreement with the Grand 101. They have a transmitter on the top of one of our Fergus water towers, and in lieu of that, we receive airtime every year. That is about to expire as the Grand 101 is putting their receiver on the top of a telecommunications tower that is about to be constructed. And with that, they would like to have that transmitter work during power outages, and they're seeking assistance from the township in financing that. We would receive a number of benefits to entering into this agreement. The first one is we can have emergency notification access on the radio in the event of a power outage or other emergencies, and we can stipulate that right into the agreement with the grant. We would receive airtime in lieu of the loan, and that's just not just the loan, but with interest included on that. So the generator itself is approximately $90,000, and we would receive airtime totaling $116,000, which is the loan amount with interest over 10 years. We would also receive preferred rates for airtime locked in today and good for 10 years. This would help with our communications going forward, locking in this rate. As I mentioned earlier, we haven't been paying for airtime for a while now, given that in lieu agreement. This would lock in airtime for the next 10 years plus. We are very interested in working with the Grand and providing emergency notification, and they're giving us full control of that through this agreement. And the Grand would ensure that their station is fully operational during any emergencies, and we would stipulate that in the agreement as well. We would work with SV Law, if council agrees, to develop the actual agreement. From a financing perspective, we would borrow the $90,000 from reserves, and my department would pay it back $9,000 a year through my operating budget, and that would become seed money for future communication budgets going forward. So it's a win-win for both the Grand 101 and the township in entering into this agreement. I think I'll end it there, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Councillor Evoy.
Through you, Mayor Waters. Thank you, Sean or Dan. This is crucial, as they are right now our only immediate communication that we have in the event of an emergency. And you know, you and I have talked about this, and I don't think there's a question. So I'll happily make the motion once the questions are done to move this forward. I think you've definitely worked it out. I have one question around the legal fees. Who's absorbing those?
I'm sorry, through Mayor Waters, I was silent on that matter, but I would anticipate the township using SV Law on our side to create the agreement, and I'm assuming the Grand 101 may have their own legal review and pay for their own legal fees. But I would anticipate that the township incur the cost to create the actual agreement itself.
Any other comments or questions for Dan? Councillor McDonald.
So the new antenna on the new telecommunications tower, that's the tower that we previously approved. I think it's so our cell phones will work better. That one, I believe.
My understanding is that the infrastructure is going at a tower that's existing.
Oh, it's existing.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's that one over there. Oh, I've been waiting for the other two to get built that we approved. Okay, and then we get the airtime, so that's cool. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll read the recommendation that the Council of Township of Centre Wellington delegate authority to the CAO to execute an agreement between the Township of Centre Wellington and the Grand 101 FM for the purposes of providing funds to be used for the purchase and installation of a generator at 7447 Wellington Road 18, Elora for the Grand 101 FM radio transmitter in exchange for secure dedicated airtime. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Wilton. Seconder on that, Councillor Evoy. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So move. Thank you, Dan. Okay, we'll move down to item 10, bylaws. 2025-50, a bylaw to establish the position of screening officers and hearing officers for the purpose of township administrative monetary penalties system omitted from the July 14th meeting agenda. Next, 2025-51, a bylaw to authorize a fundraising activity in the form of soliciting by toll booth on the North Bellwood Bridge on Wellington Road 26. Next, 2025-52, a bylaw to appoint members to the Board of Management of the Elora Business Improvement Area pursuant to S-204-3 of the Municipal Act as amended, and to repeal bylaw 2025-41. Recommendation that bylaws 2025-50 through 2025-52 be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, and corporate seal affixed. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Evoy. Seconder, Councillor Wilton. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's so move. Notice of motions. Motions where notice have been given. Confirmatory bylaw, a bylaw to confirm the actions of council. Recommendation that bylaw 2025-53 to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held August 25th, 2025 be introduced a first, second, and third time and pass an open council. To have a mover for that. Councillor Craddock, seconder on that. Councillor Jefferson. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So moved. Do I have a mover for adjournment? Councillor Craddock, seconder, Councillor Wilton. Further comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? So moved. Thank you very much. Thank you for a wonderful and lovely meeting tonight. See you soon, and have a good rest of summer.